let us all do we can to build a better future.
Let's get started. Let's get started about somebody trying to make themselves relevant again and, like a parasite, attach themselves to a very horrific situation that's happening between Israel and Palestine. Now, Shaun King also goes by the nickname Talcum X. Is trying to, I guess, fix his image, because for those of you who don't know, Shaun King has been called out for being a grifter, profiting off of the deaths of Black people at the hands of police brutality. He has attached himself to a lot of progressive movements, and because of this, he has kind of been pushed aside, more or less. But unfortunately, there are people who still think that he is somewhat authentic, which, again, he's not. Remember, he was one of those 4 horsemen that Fat Tony, Cenk Uygur, said was going to be part of his investigative news team. Remember when TYT raised $2 million? It's going to be Jordan Sheridan, Michael Tracy, Nomiki Kantz, and of course, Shaun King. And they paid Shaun King to be on their network. Cenk, was that money well spent? Well, apparently now Shaun King is trying out a new career. Move over, Samuel L. Jackson. We got a new character for the film, The Negotiator. Give it up for Shaun King. Shaun King insists he helped free U.S. hostages despite family pushback. What is going on? Now, this was first broke by TMZ, of course. Let's be very clear what's going on here. A man known in social justice circles has claimed to have helped with the release of 2 American hostages amid the Israel-Hamas conflict, but the family is calling bullshit. Shaun King has been trending all weekend over posts he threw up Friday, which seemed to be him taking the credit, at least in part, for the safe return of Judith Rahan and her teenage daughter, Radley Rahan. And Shaun King says, Hamas just freed the teenager, Natalie Rahan, and her mother. I'm grateful. As I said last week, Natalie and her family have been supporters of mine and protested police violence in America alongside us. I'm so thankful for the Qatari government for helping to negotiate this. Dozens of us worked fanatically behind the scenes to help make this possible. I spoke with Natalie's families this afternoon, and they are anxiously awaiting more updates. King said he was grateful, as I said before, as I read the tweet. He continued also to thank the Qatari government. Now, here's where things get a little bit spicy. Well, his versions of events apparently don't quite align with what Rahan's family's aware of, because they're saying they straight up don't know this guy. What? The family released a statement saying, today we come across bizarre posts on the Instagram page of one Shaun King, who turns out to have millions of followers, who claims that our relative, Natalie Rahan, supports the anti-Israeli messages he uploads on his page. Wah, wah. What's going on? Because he did a whole Twitter thread, and I'm going to have to unload it on all of y'all too. The family goes on. First and foremost, we make it clear that he is lying. Our family does not and did not have anything to do with him, neither directly or indirectly. Not to him and not to anything he claims to represent. Oh. See, Shaun King has that history of kind of making things up. But he went on a whole Twitter thread trying to show his connection. You see, Shaun, buddy, you're kind of pushing the limit, because I think people have forgotten your career as a grifter, which isn't that good. It's not that great. Shaun King, by the way, live stream chat. Oh, you're so brutal. You're so brutal. You're so brutal. M. Band says Shaun King thinks he's Dennis Rodman in North Korea. Serena Sawyer, no. Who is this Shaun King? Is this the dude who tweeted, hang on, kids, we're coming to get you? No, Serena. Shaun King is Talcum X. And the reason why he's kind of getting dragged, especially amongst Black progressives and activist groups, is because, well, there has been some claims that Shaun might be white. I know, it's crazy. Plus, you know, He also did a whole social media post kind of disrespecting his mother, too, which is a whole other can of worms, my lovelies. Oh, live stream chat, why must you be so brutal? Why must you guys be so brutal? Oof. Oof. Anyways, let's continue on. So, anyways, as they said that he might be lying, our family, as said before, they want to say that Natalie has never met Shaun, and she first learned about him today amid all the speculation, of which there's been much. The Ron family says folks shouldn't buy what King's selling, and that his claims about claims amount to misinformation, which they say is spreading like wildfire. They also note that they have more family members and loved ones in captivity that they're working to have released. So, if Shaun was really that deep connected with these people, and again, this just goes out for all influencers, anyone who's involved in social media. Um, you have to be very careful, especially when, I guess, talking about these hot topic issues. All right, and let's face it, there is a huge, massive wave of censorship that's impacting a lot of content creators. But Shaun King right here is being irresponsible here because if the fact of the matter is they still have family members that are still in captivity, this man yapping his gums off on Instagram or Twitter is putting their lives in jeopardy. It's best to shut your mouth and not get involved. Because again, he goes on this full Twitter thread, which adds just more gasoline to the fire. This is somebody who has a huge ego. And as I've said before, has a career of being a grifter. Okay. So all those people like to use the word grifter. Shaun King is just that. Now, as for King, he's already defending himself by now sharing exactly who he spoke with. And it turns out he says it was the brother of Natalie's, going to post receipts of the conversation he says he had with the guy, detailing his efforts to have her freed. He also claims he just spoke with Ron family, presumably the same people who released this blistering statement, and insists they're being forced to distance themselves from him. So at this point, there seem to be conflicting accounts over what is going on. King has been accused of inserting himself into high-profile situations like these in the past, and there are certainly a lot of folks who don't believe him. Still, he's standing firm. Okay, Shaun, listen, buddy. Let's just say for just for 1 second he's telling the truth, right? All right. Maybe they have to distance themselves from you because you are a little bit radioactive. Plus, you have millions upon millions of followers on social media. The fact that in this article by TMZ, they're still saying that people, loved ones, are still in captivity, you talking on social media puts them at risk. This is a very devastating conflict that's happening right now. Thousands, hundreds of thousands of lives are being impacted by this. And you talking about it could cause potential harm or make their release that much more difficult. That's the truth of it. And with somebody with millions upon millions of followers, you have a social responsibility of also knowing when to shut the hell up, especially when there's a negotiation process taking place. Maybe it's best to keep yourself quiet, keep distance, and maybe they have to be told to keep their distance away from you, because then, it's kind of putting everything in a bad light. So let's just say you're telling the truth here. You talking, you yapping, you trying to get some points on social media and everyone worshiping at your altar will come at a price. Everything comes at a price, Goof Troop. So, as promised, and a promise is a promise after all, I have the whole Twitter thread of Shaun King releasing the receipts. And let's say this is true. Again, let's just say for a moment, this is freaking true. Shut up. They still got family members in captivity. Do you know how hard you made those negotiators' jobs right now? There's a very real possibility that any kind of release now is whoop, out the window. That's how bad it is. But hey, Talcum X wants to remain relevant. Talcum X wants to remain relevant. So as promised, a promise is a promise. I'm not going to read through all the tweets, but I will share the link in the description in the live stream chat for all of you. So that way you can share it. Now, look, folks, I'm going to ask you not to comment if you want to. Let's just be reasonable here, but let's be very clear here. The rest of the Iran family is right now trying to struggle to help out their other loved ones out, okay? And this conflict is only going to get worse. And trust me on it, folks. I don't think we're going to see peace in our time. So here is the tweet from Blue Annan. Taking advice from Shaun Queen is like taking advice from Colin Kaepernick. Ow! Oof! 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 Goodness gracious, my audience is just being too brutal today. So here is Shaun King's little tweet, right? And here's a statement, followed by a thread of receipts and records. This man has an ego problem. Huge ego problem. So this is the brother. So he goes ahead and says, hey, I reached out to Shaun King, as I knew had many connections within the Palestinian government. While Shaun and I do have slight disagreements politically, we both agree that human life is the most sanctified value on this earth. So what I would say then is maybe there is a reason why now they had to separate or say they don't know you. Okay. Maybe the negotiators called up and said, hey, you shouldn't broadcast this. So there. So again, here it is. He's talking about his messages with the brother. All right. Had a phone conversation talking about that, text messages, all of that other good stuff, which isn't good. And these are all the text messages as well. So let's go ahead and just show that. Show that. Number is not shown. If I was Shaun, it's best to keep quiet. Best to keep quiet. Always best to keep quiet. On October 10th, I made my first public post. He's talking about this. Like he deserves a reward, man. Dude. Got to keep quiet. This is about somebody who wants to have his ego, all of his pride and ego confirmed. So let's talk about Shaun King. Okay. Let's go a little bit further into who he is. Now, this is an article that came out on July 31st of 2021. Black Lives activist Shaun King blasted as grifter after a report reveals his lavish new lakeside home. Liberal activist, and this is again from 2021, liberal activist Shaun King, a promoter of social justice movements such as Black Lives Matter, which is more or less defunct now, is facing accusations that he lives like the very one percenters he often criticizes. Given he previously worked for Bernie Sanders' presidential campaign and as a promoter of social justice causes and a critic of the elite, it may come as a surprise to some that King now lives rather lavishly himself, according to a New York Post report on his sprawling lakefront property in New Brunswick, New Jersey. There we go. King moved to a 3,000 square foot property from a 2-bedroom apartment in Brooklyn. The report claims his new house reportedly has a kitchen fit for gourmet, 5 bedrooms, and a lakefront backyard. It was alleged to be bought by King's wife, educator Renata King, for $842,000 in November of last year, the Post report citing public records. Shaun King has earned a controversial reputation as an activist, with many questioning his fundraising methods and financial commitment to the movements he claims to support. He was accused of grant giving by grant giving organization, the Protest Fund, of failing to return or explain where its donation of Justice Together, an anti-police brutality group King founded, went after the initiative was abruptly disbanded in 2015. And this has happened before with Shaun King. Start something, then it gets disbanded, or it falls into becoming irrelevant. Samir Rice, remember her? The mother of 12-year-old Tamir Rice, who was shot and killed by police in Cleveland in 2015, has publicly accused Shaun King for using her son's name to raise questionable funds. People forgot that Shaun King did that. Maybe the Runhan family found out that Shaun King likes to fundraise off of people, and they were like, oh, well, let's distance ourselves away from this guy. And this is from Samir Rice where she personally wrote, "Personally, I don't understand how you sleep at night." She wrote to King last month in a response to his claiming to have had a personal conversation with her. "I never gave you permission to raise nothing. Along with the United States, you robbed me for the deaths of my son," Rice said in a Instagram post, in which she also accused King of lying about his racial heritage. My goodness. "As a white man acting black, you are an imposter that cannot be trusted." King's race has long been a subject of intense speculation, fueled by an investigation conducted by the right-wing outlet Breitbart News, which dug up the activist's birth certificate, revealing that his father was white. King rejected the claim, arguing that the man listed on the certificate was not his biological father, and insisted his mother had told him his father was black. Oh, God. There's chameleons everywhere. Because even then, the fact that King, he didn't say, "Hey, that's a fake birth certificate." It's like, no, that's not the man. Okay. The details of his recent real estate foray have only added fuel to the fire, with both liberal and conservative critics quick to label King, who has deleted his Twitter account earlier this month, as a grifter. Because Shaun King actually deleted his Twitter account. Now he's back on Twitter. Nobody ever leaves Twitter. No one can leave Twitter. Elon Musk, I think, look, as much as I'm not a fan here and there, I got to say this. Twitter, it's so addicting. You can't leave it. It's like a drug, baby. Talcum X grifts off of Black Americans. There, fix that headline for you. One user wrote in response to a post report. Talcum X being referenced to King's biracial background. Let's see. Is the neighborhood predominantly white? Conservative author Stephen L. Miller tweeted in a apparent reference to another prominent Black Lives Matter figurehead, Parisa Coolers, who earlier this year was revealed to have splashed $3.2 million on homes in mostly white neighborhoods. What the heck is going on? So, as we go back to this, remember, Shaun King and his actions. His past is riddled with controversy. His actions speak louder than words, and for the most part, many activist groups and critics have called him out as being a hypocrite and a grifter. And now the family is clashing. And let's say, again, benefit of the doubt, let's say that he is telling the truth. Let's just say there was conversations. I'm going to say this again for everyone to hear. When it comes down to the release of people's lives, especially with extremists, no matter where they stand politically, it is best to always keep your mouth shut, because any wrong move, any kind of wrong statement can cost lives. Now, Shaun went on this little Twitter rampage to show the receipts. Great. Let's say you're telling the truth. Okay, you told the truth. Did you also know that you might have made things that much more difficult, Shaun? You have millions of followers. Theoretically, you should know better. But maybe you want to take the limelight and make yourself relevant. Okay. But at what cost, buddy? Because the only thing that's going to matter is just your ego. And once again, you're proving everyone correct for the hypocrite that you are.